Hello, Panthers, and welcome back to Degrassi School's In. Or I guess welcome if you're new. If you're new, hello, I'm Eevee. I'm a 25-year-old film and media graduate who has been a Degrassi fan for as long as I can remember and filters everything through a Degrassi-related lens slash queer lens slash you'll get the vibe. You'll get the if you haven't already listened, I think you'll get the vibe very quickly. But yeah, I'm Eevee, and I am watching Degrassi Junior High for the first time, all the way to Degrassi School's Out. That's the quick little elevator pitch. I'm super excited to be back. I'm super excited to get into the podcasting flow in 2024. I had pretty decent into 2023, if I do say so myself. If you have watched my social media at all, you might know what I'm talking about. But yeah, hi, 2024. The year just feels so full of possibility, and I'm just so excited. So let's go ahead and get started with my first podcast of the year, which is this one. We're talking we're talking about The Great Race, which is the 5th episode of Degrassi Junior High, and we will be talking about it with a very active member of the Degrassi Kid community, Sierra, who loves this episode. You will get into it and you will hear their passion for it, but they felt like the obvious choice for this episode, and yeah, I really hope that you guys enjoy our conversation. I very much enjoyed it myself. I'm going to very quickly include a voice message from Sierra that includes some information that was not included in the episode. And then let's get into Degrassi Junior High Season 1, Episode 5, The Great Race.
I always watched Degrassi alone. And I remember the first time I talked about Degrassi with someone else back in high school. I told one of my non-swim team friends about it because, almost everybody on the swim team was religious in some way. I knew that they just wouldn't be into that with the scene of Adam. I shared it with my friend, and I remember them saying, oh my gosh, that's so weird. Why would you do that to your chest? So I, just never talked about it again until I got online. It wasn't even until I found Jocelyn that I really started talking about Degrassi more. And I messaged them, immediately after I listened to the first episode. Because that first episode made me cry so much. Because I didn't find it until after the reboot was canceled. And I was like, oh my gosh, you obviously care about this show so much, and it's my favorite show too, so. I love watching Degrassi with other people now. The watch parties are my favorites.
Thank you, Sarah, for providing that extra information. Sorry, I forgot to ask those questions. I am still getting the hang of asking everything that I want to ask, but it's always good to know where Degrassi fans found the community, where we found each other. All right, it is time to get into The Great Race. Hello, Sierra, and welcome to Degrassi School's In. I'm so excited to have you here. And I'm really fucking happy to be here. You have not been shy about how excited you are, 1, about this episode, and 2, about this podcast in general. So I'm really excited to talk to you. So how did you first get into Degrassi?
I've told a few people this on Discord.
Yeah, but we need let's go ahead and get it for the record.
Yeah, okay, so I grew up a little bit poor, a single mom of 3, with a dad bouncing child supports out the wazoo just randomly whenever he wanted. So we didn't always have cable. And we rarely ever had cable and internet at the same time. So I think one time in 2011, because I was already on the swim team, I was just kind of searching through. I didn't know what I was watching. I remember 10 seconds of Adam binding down his chest, and my jaw dropped and I fell in love. We only had cable for a month, and then we didn't have cable again for years.
So you just got that tiny little glimpse, and then you were that was just stuck in your head?
It was stuck in my head. I didn't remember the name of the show. I didn't know what I was watching. I remembered Adam, and I found it again randomly one year after I had been kicked out of my church job. I was looking for queer media, and I just Googled queer media and found Degrassi and fell back in love because it was all on YouTube. So I watched from TNG up until My Body's a Cage. I didn't know I was watching the same show.
That's so interesting. So you were just watching it, and then that moment that was stuck in your head from however many years ago starts playing, and you're like, oh, that's so interesting. There it is.
I cried again and again, and I was like, Adam, I'm home.
I love that. That's so cute. Yeah, that's really sweet. And it, like, I love hearing about people's first moment that, like, really stuck with them. And that's so interesting. I didn't know that you had, like, rediscovered it after getting that little taste.
I can't picture my life any different with Degrassi. It's just always been Adam.
That's so interesting. That's so interesting. That's so interesting. I know you love Adam. I'm so glad that you. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm like tearing up. Jordan Tonnessy, I love you if you're listening.
That's so I was just gonna say, I'm so glad that you got a chance to ask questions to Jordan Tonnessy and that she said hi to you and all that kind of stuff. I think that's so sweet.
That's so Jocelyn sent me that video on Discord, and I'm gonna cherish it forever. Like, she answered 2 of my questions directly, and then like I asked 6 questions.
That's so interesting.
I said, just pick whichever ones you like.
Yeah, that interview was so great, and Jordan is like so sweet and cute.
I'm gonna meet her one day, and I'm gonna make her sign stuff for me. And I'm gonna.
I was gonna be like, I'm gonna meet her one day too.
You already have. And I'm jealous.
Tried on my glasses. That was literally like the first thing. I like walked up to her, and she's like, "Let me have your glasses, and let's take a selfie." That's so interesting. That's so interesting. Yes, okay, anything you want, queen.
That's I would be so annoyed if people tried on my glasses because, like, I get blind and, like, people, like, touch them and get fingerprints all over them.
Oh, she immediately was like, yeah, oh, you're blind. So, but if...
Yeah, Jordan, you can try on my glasses anytime, but mine are partially broken and scratched up, so...
What is your... That's so interesting. What is your favorite Degrassi Junior High episode? We know that.
This one and a tie with Rumor Has It is definitely second place. That's
the next one, right?
The next episode, yeah. Yeah, I watched it last night with my mom.
That's so excited to watch that one. All I know about that one is lesbian.
I have a sticker of that one.
Lesbian. Oh, is that what's wrong with being a homosexual? What's so bad about being homosexual?
Yes. And that is part of my Melanie is bisexual headcanon, which I have.
Based on this episode, I support that headcanon.
Good. It's a headcanon that develops over time.
Because Good. We'll get into this further, but I ship Melanie and Snake.
I'm with you on that ship.
Hard. I got butterflies seeing them like looking at each other. Like, they are so cute.
I am with you on that ship, but for me, that ship doesn't start in this episode. It starts a little bit later on.
Well, their moments in this episode worked for me. Like,
they do. They work as, like, Melanie's crushing on Snake while also secretly dating LD in my head. They work while LD is crushing on Stephanie and somehow still dating Melanie. And I don't know how she crushes on both because Stephanie's straight as fuck.
We've all had crushes on straight girls, so.
While dating other girls, yeah, I've done that.
I mean, a crush is a crush. It's not cheating.
It's not. Thank you.
Sierra, who are your favorite Degrassi characters overall?
Adam.
They work
Lola. I'm not just saying that for you.
You're just pandering.
No, I feel like Lola is a secretly bisexual queen, to be honest.
I don't even think it's secret. I think it just didn't happen on screen.
Yeah.
Her and Miles are a bi power couple.
Yeah, I don't love Miles.
I'm so sorry, but we're gonna have to end this Zoom call now. It was so nice to have you on here.
He's not in my top 5. He's really not. He might be in my top 20, but not top 5.
The listeners can't see the face I'm making at you right now, but it's okay.
No, let's move on. Melanie.
Okay, so Adam, Lola, Melanie. I'm vibing with this list so far.
LD.
No, like the quirky queer characters, basically.
Yeah, and Lucey, who is bisexual in my headcanon for sure. Lucey and LD is like my ultimate ship. And Jocelyn's on that ship with me, I've been told.
Yes, I believe she said that in one of our episodes together. Today we are talking about Season 1, Episode 5 of Degrassi Junior High, The Great Race, which aired on February 15th, 1987, before either of us was born, I believe. Am I right?
Yeah, I'm from 1995.
I was born in 1998. Yeah, you're only a couple years older than me. So, yeah, we were both, like, not even a thought when this episode came out. I love that.
Oh, I wasn't even a thought 9 months before I was born.
I love that. So this episode was written by Yan Moore and it was directed by Clark Mackey. I just have to take a little moment to say I met Yan Moore at Linda Schuyler's house recently, and it was so amazing to meet him, first of all, and he was so kind, and it's just surreal to see these names in the credits and know that these are people that I've like actually interacted with and been perceived by. So I just wanted to say a quick little shout out to Yan Moore. This episode description for The Great Race comes from Apple TV. Responding to sexist taunts, the girls' swim team challenges the boys' soccer team to a battle of the sexes. But when star swimmer Melanie gets teased about her first bra, she pulls out of the race. Meanwhile, Yick and Arthur attempt to speed up the process of puberty. So this episode dives into like sexism and misogyny, I feel like, for the first time in Degrassi Junior High, which is really interesting. What did you think about how they handled this topic?
Honestly, they do it better here than I think they did in TNG.
Interesting. What episodes from TNG do you think this kind of has the same?
I watched the episode Relax, which is the one with the floor hockey team going against the boys basketball.
Yeah, I can see the parallels between like the boys and girls, the battle of the sexes type plot line. And I think it's very interesting just how often Degrassi, the next generation, kind of takes these things from Degrassi Junior High, and I'm assuming Degrassi High as well, and adapts them to the modern times.
Well, Arthur and Yick's plotline is actually mocked later on in Degrassi High as well as in TNG.
Mocked?
Yes. So Arthur and Yick are trying to be tall like Snake.
Yeah.
In Degrassi High, I'll spoil it just a little bit.
That's okay.
Bartholomew Bond and Scooter, I love both these characters very much, try to be cool like Rick Monroe. They do a lot of the same things that he does, just like Arthur and Yick do in this episode. So they'll like go to the grocery store and buy a pack of cigarettes and smoke like Rick does.
Yeah.
And then JT and Toby, they do fake X and try to be cool like Sean because Emma likes Sean.
Oh, okay, yeah. I see the connection there. Yeah, I was trying in my head because I always try to like kind of scan the whole series and find those connections, and there wasn't. I was thinking it would be so cute if there was a moment in like TNG or beyond where the boys kind of wanted to be like an older boy, and I couldn't think of one, but you're so right that JT and Toby like kind of idolize Sean in that episode and kind of want to be like cool like him. And Sean is definitely, in my opinion, I said this in my last episode, Sean definitely reminds me of Rick Monroe. Like he feels like the next generation version of Rick Monroe to me. And of course I'm saying this from literally like one episode of seeing Rick, so I could be wrong. They could go in completely different directions, but to me, like that's the same person in a different generation.
They're very similar in my mind. And I feel like Adam also tries to be a little bit like Sav. Like he learns the bass for My Paisley Jacket.
Yeah.
And he's always trying to impress Sav. Yeah.
I can see he kind of models himself after, and I can see that a little bit with Eli too. I feel like, and Jordan Todesy talked about that in her interview with Degrassi Kid about how when she was researching for the role, she was kind of trying to emulate the like her male friends and the people around her, and she said basically that was probably exactly what Adam was trying to do. So I can definitely see that Adam was emulating, probably like taking cues from and emulating Sav, because he's the kind of guy that Adam wanted to be.
Yeah. And I will say Sav's really cool. Like I love Sav.
Despite the sticker books, he is still so cool.
No, I love a sticker book.
I love a sticker book. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get into the episode. There was something that you noticed in the cold open of the episode that you wanted to talk about?
Yes. So the swim team members I recognized were Melanie, LD, Caitlin, the twins, and Susie. Yeah.
They do not all swim.
No, the twins don't swim.
There was a line that LD said in like the stairwell where she was like, complaining about the girls on the team who weren't gonna swim, and she said like, oh, like I'm on my period, like I'm not I don't want the boys to see me in a swimsuit and all of that. So I wonder if that was the twins and Kate. I almost just said who's Caitlin. I know who Caitlin is.
I hope you do, because my mom does. So
I know.
that'd be really embarrassing.
I literally almost asked who Caitlin was. That's embarrassing. So yeah, the swimmers that actually swim are Susie, Caitlin, Melanie, and LD. Who's missing? The twins and who else?
Anyone I didn't recognize.
The other people that you didn't. Yeah, they were on their period, or they didn't want boys to see them in a swimsuit, I guess.
I think that's funny, actually, because a lot of Liberty mentions that people on their period don't play and relax. And Nanny tries to get out of playing by saying she's on her period, and Liberty hands her a tampon.
She's like, that's not an excuse. I did find it interesting that I noticed the twins were in the audience, and they were sitting with Vula, cheering. It looked like they were cheering the girls on, I believe.
They were.
I was trying to pay attention to who, because I noticed there were some girls in there that were cheering for the boys, and there's just like, I was trying to notice who was kind of supporting who. It wasn't any characters I recognized, but there was one girl that like stood up and cheered, I thought, when they were all cheering for the boys, and I was like, who is that?
I was too busy trying to pay attention to who was winning.
Oh no, I was paying attention to the crowd. I was trying to see. I'm very interested. It's the same as with the election in the first episode. I was paying attention to the background of like who was wearing like pins that say vote for Snake, who was wearing pins that say vote for Stephanie. Like those little background details are very interesting to me. I
never noticed them. I was really trying to focus on who was beating who.
You were thinking about the swimming, and I
was. Like, I noticed everything from who dives which way, which they all somehow dive the same way, and that's not the way I dive. So
yeah, I noticed in your notes, you like you picked apart how they like dove and how they were like turning and all of that. You were like, this isn't how they would usually like turn. That's not the fast way. But I think you said like, the flip turn. Like, I'm assuming they wouldn't. When they're like filming, they probably wouldn't want to have to keep doing that like flip turn, because that would be more strenuous than doing the quick like tap.
It is. A touch turn is it's less work, and it's a little bit slower because you actually swim all the way to the wall and touch it, then turn.
Yeah,
that's how you're required to do a touch turn. Which is
I did swim team for a couple of years growing up, but not to the degree that you did. So I have.
Oh, I only did it for 2 years.
Oh, really? It is like a core part of your personality.
Because I wanted to do it before I joined, but I didn't know we had a swim team. This is a thing.
Yeah, let's get your swim team origin story, actually.
Okay, so swimming is an underrated sport, like full stop. It's a fucking amazing sport, and no one appreciates it unless they're a swimmer. And LD is like really upset that they're not appreciating girls swimming, but baby, it's all swimming. I didn't know we had a swim team until my middle of 10th grade year. I knew we had a pool, but a pool doesn't equal a swim team. You gotta have like a coach, swimmers, equipment.
Yeah. I feel like swim team is not like I don't want to say advertised, but like I didn't know that my school had a swim team. I knew that we had the same thing, like my high school. I didn't know that we had a swim team until I feel like a year or two in. Even though I knew that we had a pool, like I saw the pool was near the like gym that we had PE in, but nobody talked about it. Like nobody was like, hey, I'm on the swim team. Like I had no idea. It's not a sport that is ever really talked about. So I think that is interestingly like universal.
Yeah, I didn't know until I started dating someone who was on the swim team.
You're like, oh, that's a thing?
I was asking him out to go to the movie, and I said, you want to go to the movies? And he said, I have practice. And I said, huh? He said, swim practice. And I said, wait, we have a swim team? I want to join. Those was my first response. I want to join.
I'm curious in terms of being on swim team, was it gendered? Like, was it separated by?
No, it was co-ed.
Co-ed, okay.
The lockers were gendered, and we swam against our own gender, but like we had the same practice time. We swam together at practice. We swam against each other in practice, but not in meets. We rode the same buses.
How do you think this plot line would have differed if it was like a boys swimming team versus a girls swimming team? Like, do you think there's a reason why?
I think it was strictly for the plot because Snake is on the swim team. They say that he's district
Yeah.
champion.
So I guess if they had them be on more of like an equal playing field.
I feel like Snake is district champion, so I don't understand why, because they're the same seasons. You're not going to have a separate swim season for girls and boys.
Yeah, so where's the boys swimming team?
They're just not there. We never see a boys swimming team on Degrassi. We never see another swim team for more than 10 seconds on Degrassi. The swimming in Kids of Degrassi Street is just a swim lesson. It's not a swim team.
Well, Degrassi loves to do this thing where they introduce a sport for like an episode or maybe like 2 seasons max, and then it just goes away.
Adam never plays volleyball again after he gets his bloody nose in practice.
Yeah, the hockey team like comes in with like a huge whole thing, and then like, what hockey team?
After Relax, we never see floor hockey again.
Yeah.
Really, except for in the opening. And Terry's in that opening, but she's not in Relax for playing hockey.
Yeah, there are some weird. That's always been a thing with the openings too, is that they're not fully accurate.
Well, the Degrassi Junior High opening's accurate.
It's clips of the show, which we saw a lot of clips from this episode.
4 of them. I counted and I wrote them in the notes.
Do you want to share which episodes you noticed, or which?
I noticed from this episode, it's Joey at his locker with Stephanie K, because you can see the little buttons that say vote for Stephanie K and the Playboy poster.
It's my favorite little detail is Joey having the vote for Stephanie K buttons in his locker.
I think my favorite detail of Joey's locker is the Playboy magazine, because, spoiler alert, it comes up again. It's a very big plot line that I really enjoy that episode.
Interesting. I'm excited to see how that comes up. I feel like I can kind of picture how it might come up. I'm going to go ahead and I'll do a little prediction. I feel like he's going to get caught with it, or somebody's going to steal it. Don't give me any faces. Don't tell me. Like, somebody's going to steal it and get caught with it, or he's going to get caught with it. So that's my prediction of what's going to happen with the Joey P. Jeremiah P for Playboy magazine.
Yeah, I don't usually pay attention to people's lockers in any show but Degrassi. I feel like it's very important.
Yeah, there's a lot of like character put into that and a lot of detail. Thanks to Judy Shiner, my queen.
Yeah, Judy Shiner for Degrassi Junior High and Degrassi High, but then not for TNG. I really want Jocelyn to get the TNG prop manager, or at least one of them. There's probably more than one.
I'd be very interested to pay attention to the lockers in TNG, because I can't say there are any notable. I remember Jimmy has that picture of Ashley in his locker. That's the only thing that I can think of right away of like
Claire's
locker decoration. Oh well, yeah, that's I was thinking like early TNG, because yeah, Claire's locker has a Twilight poster in it.
Yeah, she has no, it's Vampire Psychologist.
Oh, somebody has a Twilight. Somebody has like a Jacob poster, I think. At some point.
Claire also has a Robert Pattinson poster.
That might be it.
And Maya gets a Gossip Girl poster.
And Lola has a 5 Seconds of Summer poster in her locker.
I didn't know that, but you would, yeah.
I would know that. Of course I would know that. But I loved seeing the little details in Joey's locker, and I loved seeing Yick and Arthur's locker.
Yes.
Which one of theirs locker was that Arthur's locker, or was that Yick's locker? If you remember.
That is Arthur's locker, because Yick is disorganized.
Oh, so his locker would have been a hot mess.
You will see in the next episode his locker.
Oh my gosh, is that JT who has like a disgusting locker?
Yes, JT.
And then Eli's a hoarder, but
yeah, JT and Toby share a locker for that one episode. And so do Claire and Eli in one episode, when Claire takes her Vampire Psychologist poster over to his locker.
Let's go ahead and talk about the setup for this whole plot line, which is the like battle of the sexes. All right, so the conflict starts off with the boys, the captain of, is he captain? Jason?
Jason is captain of the soccer team, but I would say it really starts with Stephanie. I feel like Stephanie starts this bullshit.
Okay, how do you think Stephanie starts this bullshit?
Okay, so LD goes up to Stephanie at her locker, or no, that's Joey's locker, at Joey's locker, and says, like, hey, can you announce that we won our swim meet? And she, of course, passes the buck to Jason because she's a lousy president. I'll just go out and say it.
She's not trying.
Yeah, yeah. So she's like, go talk to Jason. He does the announcements. And LD doesn't go up to Jason. She doesn't get a second to because Jason's got a soccer game. So he just goes and announces it. But I feel like if Snake was president, he would have done it better. He would have done it differently.
Yeah, and this is something that you have asked me in like every episode. You've asked, like, how do you think things would be different if Snake were president? And every single episode, I've kind of been like, I don't know. Like, I don't really understand what he would do. We haven't really gotten a chance to meet him. And in this episode, we finally got a chance to meet him. And I finally kind of like, I definitely feel like I finally understand like why you're asking that question, because it is such an interesting question and it is such like a different timeline that it would be on if Snake were president, because Stephanie does not give a fuck at all. And she is like the person that should care. Like, she's a school president. Like, she has responsibilities and she just does not care. And Snake is like this like periphery character that's like barely involved, and he's like concerned immediately. I love him, first of all. I just want to go ahead and state this now. I feel like Snake stole my heart immediately. And if I had to answer the question of how I think this would be different, I don't think any of this bullshit would have happened if Snake was president. Like, none of this would have happened because Snake would have been like, he would have been like, okay, let's get the announcements. He would have handled, I feel like he would have handled the announcements himself.
Well, first and foremost, Snake is district champion swimmer. So I feel like his ass would have been at the swim meet. Did I say
also, he respects women. Yeah, you can say, we've said like fuck. Did you just ask, can I say ass?
Yeah. His ass both have been at the swim meet.
Can I say ass? We've both been like,
no, let's
yeah. Yeah, his ass would have been like taking care of things.
I feel like Snake would have been at the swim meet and he would have been like writing down an outline, much like yours, like for the announcements, and he would have made the announcement before the soccer team left, like, hey, the girls won their swim meet and the boys soccer team has a game today, go cheer them on. And then the episode would have been about Melanie and her bra, and LD and her little crush on Stephanie K, and the other crush on Melanie, and Melanie and her crush on Snake.
Yeah, I will say that moment of like LD talking to Stephanie, I did get the vibes that LD has a crush on Stephanie.
Thank you.
But I did also get the vibes that Stephanie is like so painfully straight in that moment.
Like, yeah.
So not interested, not detecting anything from LD. She's just like, I didn't see anything in her eyes for LD, which...
No, she's somehow into Joey and his, I got an A in sex ed.
How can Joey go? I mean, he wasn't like a sweet, innocent boy last week, but he...
No, but he was a good friend, yeah.
He was a little softer, and this week he was... Owen Milligan.
Okay, Joey is growing. That is my one word for Joey. He's growing. He's growing in his trying to pick up girls, and he's growing in his trying to be a good friend.
He is very much a preteen teenage boy.
Yeah. He's growing on my last nerves.
Exactly, yeah. He is getting on my nerves. I feel like every other episode, I'm gonna be like, I love Joey so much. And then I'm gonna be like, actually, Joey's maybe the worst.
That's me. That is how you're going to be for all of Degrassi Junior High.
Great.
And then in TNG, he's basically just Craig's dad.
That's the thing about TNG is that I was never, or like TNG to junior high, is I never really felt any inkling to go back and see what happened because they didn't really make the adults' storylines very interesting.
I think the most interesting moment for me to go back to Degrassi Junior High in TNG is when Snake's on the stairs with Emma after she goes to see her dad. And Snake's like, you know, your mom and I, we tried to date in junior high and it just didn't work. And like, your mom's trying, like she's doing her best, but...
Yeah, I just feel like they kind of dropped the ball in terms of like, I won't say they dropped the ball. I'll say they didn't do as much as they could have to connect the next generation. And I get it because it's about the next generation. Like, we're supposed to focus on the kids. But
That's something I explain to my mom all the time because she's like, these adults, Snake's the only good one. And I'm like, yeah. She's like, Joey, I don't know why he's there. And I'm like, he's just Crad's replacement dad. That's it.
Yeah, like adult Joey, like, definitely has his moments, but there wasn't really anything growing up watching TNG, and even like in the past couple of years watching TNG, there wasn't much in TNG that like really made me look at Joey and be like, wow, I wonder like what he was like as a kid. But he's so much more interesting than I expected.
He's way more interesting. And
like, they didn't do them justice.
I feel like Joey and Stephanie makes Degrassi Junior High a more interesting Joey.
Yeah.
I can't say much because I don't want to ruin it, but yeah.
To know that like context, because Stephanie is not Stephanie in Next Generation at all.
No.
Because I remember there's the when Spike has her bachelorette party.
There's cameos. One for Lucey, which you've
I recognized her. I know I knew who that was, but
and then Caitlin, and then Stephanie. No, Spike's best friend Liz. You haven't met her yet.
That's who. Yeah, I knew there was one other person that I like didn't know, like one person that I didn't know from when I was watching it without the context of Junior High, which I still don't know Liz, but
you've seen Liz's actress, but you haven't seen Liz.
Yeah, she's the girl with like the bangs. Oh, I've seen her in. Oh yeah, because she's the one. Somebody has said this before. She's the one that like is in the background, but then she later comes in as somebody who just moved to the school.
Yep.
So we will meet Liz soon? ? Don't tell me.
You will meet Liz at some point, but it won't be who you've seen her as so far because she changes names. I don't know why they do this. They thought no one would notice.
They thought nobody would be like going back and rewatching this for decades to come. Picking it apart.
That concept wasn't a thing. Streaming and all that wasn't a thing back then. So yeah, it wasn't going to be on YouTube for all of eternity.
So Sierra, I wanted to ask you, when was the first time that you watched this episode? And do you remember how it impacted you at the time?
I remember the first time I watched this episode was on my Degrassi rewatch. I had just finished all of TNG, and we didn't have Netflix, so I couldn't get to next class. But I had seen Degrassi Junior High was on their YouTube page, and then I also saw the Degrassi minis were there. And something in my brain said, watch Degrassi Junior High first, and then watch the minis. And I binge watched as much as I could before my grandma woke up from her nap every single day. That was how it was happening, because we had a Fire Stick, so I could watch it in the living room while she was napping. And she always wanted to change the channel, but she always fell asleep. So as soon as she fell asleep, I would change it to Degrassi.
So that's how you got introduced to Degrassi Junior High. Do you remember this episode specifically, how it impacted you?
I do. I saw myself in this episode, and I see it every time in Melanie.
In just the swimmer? Like, what aspect of Melanie really related to you?
So, I sent you a picture of myself on the swim team. That is 11th grade me. This is 8th grade Melanie. You can see we're like the same size. And so now I am like a double D. But like 11th grade me, I was Melanie's size.
Interesting. So you could relate to the whole like kind of puberty aspect of it and being insecure about your chest and all of that.
I was insecure about my chest because I was bullied about it, not by my peers, not by fellow classmates, by my own mother.
I hate that.
Yeah, well, everyone in my family has kind of a bigger chest, and I do now, but I didn't then. And like, it's weird because like I didn't want bigger boobs. I just wanted to stop being bullied. I loved my body, and I wanted to just
exist,
not have to deal with it. Yeah, I think that's why I loved Adam Binding's chest so much in the first 10 seconds that I saw Degrassi, because that was like, oh, I can want small boobs, and it's okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was transgender. And then I was like, oh. And that was like a whole like, oh, am I transgender? I'm not. I'm non-binary, which is close to it, I guess. It's kind of,
it's on the same spectrum.
yeah. And I've worn a binder since then, and I miss my binder. I lost so much weight, and I don't fit it anymore, so I donated it to Goodwill. And those things are expensive. I gotta get another one.
They are. I have one binder that I wear sometimes, and I think it was like $40 or something. It was so expensive.
Yeah, $40. And I can't buy them in town, so you have to pay shipping and like measure yourself and all that. It's a lot.
Yeah, they're not very accessible. One parallel that I did kind of find in this episode and Degrassi Next Class was the whole bra shopping thing with LD, LD and Melanie, and then Lola and Yael. The Lola and Yael storyline obviously went in a different direction, but
I feel like Melanie's could have gone in a very similar direction if it was made today.
yeah, and I think that's one of the interesting things about like modernizing these storylines is that we don't even know. Yeah, I mean, I do think that Melanie wanted to like be perceived as somebody with a chest versus Yael definitely didn't.
Yeah, I feel like Melanie
liked the attention versus Yael hated the attention that they got for like accentuating their chest.
Yeah, I feel like Melanie wanted to be noticed, especially by Snake. Yeah. And kind of felt like, well, this is a way I can kind of get that because Stephanie and other girls, but mostly Stephanie, gets attention for that area especially. But she gets that attention from like creeps like Joey, not from guys like Snake, who's a total sweetheart. I feel like Snake would notice either way.
Yeah, Snake doesn't seem like he is concerned about that. It seems like he's interested in Melanie for like who she is, and honestly, it seemed like he was impressed by like her standing up for herself later on. Like, he was definitely, that was what intrigued him, not the physical attraction.
I feel like first he noticed like, oh my gosh, Melanie's looking at me at the locker.
Oh and my gosh, I can't get over that scene. They're so cute.
Yeah, because that's in the opening as well, and I love that. But like he saw her standing up for herself with the soccer team, and he was like blown away.
I just thought it was so cute. Like just seeing, I don't know, it just like gave me this whole new perspective on Stefan Brogren in general. Just seeing him as like young Snake, I'm kind of in love with him. Like he's so, I don't know. Like I just now that I see him as like a baby, I see his baby face in his adult face, and I just have like this whole new level of affection for him. Just Snake. Also, he's a character now. He literally had lines and like a plot and everything. I didn't know that was gonna be. Didn't know that was gonna ever happen.
Oh yeah, Snake is my mom's favorite character in all of Degrassi.
Your mom has taste.
Yep. And she's like, adult Snake, I have a crush on him. He's so hot. And I'm like, oh gosh, Mom, that's better than Raditch. So that's good.
I mean, young Raditch.
Get it. I'm not with you on this. He's a terrible teacher in this episode too.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Where a child screams "ow" and he is just like,
he automatically thinks like, Melanie, you are now in trouble. And it's like, she obviously didn't do that on purpose. Something happened. You don't just scream "ow." Class to get like a reaction.
No investigation of like why she screamed "ow" in the middle of a lesson. Just Melanie, why you
like Melanie? Now you're in trouble. And this is like, I've had my bra snapped before. It sucks. I don't know why people do this.
Because it sucks and they suck.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it from Alex. Like I remembered it happened in this episode, and then I didn't remember that Alex did. My brain was like, oh, it must have been Joey.
That does seem like a Joey thing.
And Joey's not even the one who tells him to do it. Joey's not even in the classroom. I don't know who tells him to do it because I didn't recognize them. But that's Alex. He plays Pete in Kids of Degrassi Street.
Is this a character? One of my top 5 is Alex a character that comes back?
Yes, but he's kind of an extra character most of the time. He doesn't do as much as he does in Kids of Degrassi Street, which if
Now
he's
let's
ever on Jocelyn's podcast, I do want to ask him how he feels about that.
Jocelyn, get him on your podcast.
Yeah. I can't say what all he does in Degrassi Junior High and Degrassi High,
Don't spoil it.
but he's in both, I'll say that.
Okay, yeah, I don't think I've ever heard the name Alex.
He's not named yet. He hasn't been named yet. I just
like
know.
I don't know who the hell that is. You were saying like, oh, Alex. Not like I knew a boy did it. Like I did not know that was what what that person's name was. So
That's Alex.
hello, Alex. Nice to meet you. I guess
His name reoccurs in Alex Nunez. So there you go.
Yeah. I know. I know that Alex. I'm not familiar with this bra snapping Alex, who I'm not a fan of.
I don't like the bra snap, but he gets better, I think.
I hope so.
Still not my top 5 guy, but Pete from Kids of Degrassi Street is in my top 5 dudes of all Degrassi.
I don't even know who Pete is either. So
he's a great guy.
He's a great guy.
In my personal opinion.
He's Pete.
Now let's
So in regards to this whole like boys versus girls plotline, one thing that I think is so funny is this insistence like, oh, boys are just naturally better than girls and all this kind of stuff. Like, we could beat you easily. And then they immediately have to stack the team and get Snake on board. Like, they're immediately like, hey, we're going to lose. So we need to get somebody that's actually good at swimming. Like, okay, I thought boys were superior. What happened?
Jason is like instantly nervous as heck. And honestly, I feel like if Shane would have actually swum, because he's on the swim.
Yeah, he's on the soccer team.
He's on the soccer team. He's getting in the van when they're challenged.
Yeah, so why didn't was he on his period?
He's there next to Wally, which I have a fun fact about Wally.
Okay.
Now let's
share that.
Yeah, I can say it now.
Yeah.
He's in Shane's character book as Shane's best friend. But he's only in 4 episodes in all of Degrassi. And this is his first episode.
Interesting. But he's a bigger character in Shane's book?
No.
Oh, he's not?
mentioned. He's mentioned as Shane's best friend before Shane starts dating Spike, and that's it. That's his only mention in the book.
Oh. That sucks.
Yeah, some friend. But it's because Shane leaves him to be with Spike.
Speaking of Spike, I noticed a little fun background moment that did you notice the little background moment with Spike?
She makes a bet. And she's also she's talking to Stephanie on Stephanie's way to the bathroom when she's getting dressed. Right before LD comes up to her and tells her what to say.
I love the like Spike and Stephanie background. Like they are always walking in the hallway together, and I would love to see them
somehow best friends. I don't see it.
Yeah, like they don't talk, but they're always like just walking together.
It's weird.
I thought it was really interesting to see Spike placing a bet, because for a second I was like, wait, Spike wouldn't get involved with that, and then I'm like, oh, never mind, she's gonna bet for the girls. Like
I feel like she's definitely betting for the girls.
She's 100% betting for the girls.
She's friends with twins.
Yeah, she's a feminist queen. Like she was against the whole Stephanie K thing. She 100%. But yeah, I was thrown off for a second because I was thinking, like, it's Joey and who else? I don't know who else it is that is running the bets. It's Joey and somebody else who's running the bets. And I saw Spike.
I think it's Joey and. I'm not gonna stop talking because I don't think I know who that is. Just know that Joey's a jerk.
Yeah, just know that Joey's a jerk. But yeah, when I saw Spike walk up, I'm like, no, she wouldn't get involved with that. And then like, actually, she would for the girls.
I think she would for the girls, but also she's having a crush on Shane at this exact moment. According to her character book.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, she likes Shane from the very beginning.
The books seem to add so much, like, little bits of context. I'm really excited to get there.
Yeah, I have her reprint of her book, so it's not her original, but I do have Shane's original. Hers is the only reprint I have.
Yeah, for listeners who don't know, Sierra has, like, a mission to get all of the Degrassi Junior High. Are they Degrassi Junior High books? All of them? Is that how you would kind of describe them? They are novelizations of some of the Degrassi Junior High characters.
There are 8 Kids of Degrassi Street books, and then there's Degrassi Exit Stage Left, and then 12 Degrassi Junior High character books, and then 6 Degrassi Talk books, and then 4 Degrassi Next Generation books. And I want them all, and I also want them to be reprinted. I asked Linda Schuyler about this in that interview with her, and she said she thought it was doable. So now, like, every time I think there's someone who I think could do this, that Jocelyn gets on their podcast, I'm like,
Putting a little bug in there. You're just like, hey, this is, just say no, this is what I want.
my questions are always about the books. Like, I think Adam could have a good character book too. I think we could bring back character books.
Hire me to write some character books. It's basically just like glorified fan fiction.
Oh, one of them is just straight up glorified fan fiction, because Exit Stage Left is the one with the porcupine song. And that one is straight up fan fiction. None of that stuff happens in the show. The other ones happen in the show.
I'll write a Lola book. I'll write an Adam book.
Oh, I want to write an Adam book. I want to write a Choose Your Own Adventure, Make Adam Not Die book.
I would definitely. Are all of the outcomes Adam not dying, or
No, one outcome is Adam does still die.
so just one, and then the rest of them are happy endings?
There's 2 Adam doesn't die happy endings. One where he ends up with Becky still, and one where he ends up with Imogen. And we all know he ends up with Imogen in my head.
He also ends up with Imogen in my head.
I love this.
Yeah, I'm a very big they don't have a very good ship name though.
Yeah, it's Adagen, and I don't love that.
Same with Becky and Adam. It's like Beckdom or Beckadam or like Badam. None of them, which to me, Badam is Bianca and Adam.
I think Drew dated everyone that Adam liked except for Imogen. Because
in my fan fiction, Drew does date Imogen, so
I don't like that fan fiction already.
Have you read that? It's a good one though.
I haven't read it yet. I just don't like that. I don't like that plotline. I haven't read a lot of fan fiction. I need to. I would love a Degrassi fan fiction podcast.
I have actually talked about that with. Well, I've kind of thought about it on my own, but then Jocelyn and I have also talked about it a little bit. Okay, so I always like to look on the internet and find like trivia and fun facts and all that kind of stuff. I gotta say, Degrassi Junior High so far does not have good like trivia or fun facts or anything online. It is so hard to find any like facts about the show. So I'm really glad that I have one Degrassi Kid and 2, Sierra, who has provided some fun facts about this episode. I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about some of the fun facts that Degrassi Kid has provided for us. One of them is about, and this is a fun fact about the Great Race in general, that the plotline was inspired, Melanie's plotline was inspired by Linda Schuyler's real life. And I have a quote from an article that I would love to read about this. And this is an article called Growing Up Degrassi, which was published in 2015. And it is Linda just talking a little bit about the inspiration behind the Great Race and Melanie's whole storyline. So in talking about the storyline, in recounting what inspired it, she said, I was in 8th grade and my grandmother sent me my very first bra. It gave me a really nice shape and I was so excited, but 2 boys in my class just kept throwing Kleenex at me because they didn't think it was really me. I went home in tears, threw off my bra, and vowed to never wear it again. So I found it really interesting that this was something that Linda drew from her real life and something that she clearly was still affected by as an adult, that bullying.
Yeah, she recounts that a little bit more in the Mother of All Degrassi books.
Yes.
And then we found out in Judy Schreiner's interview that Judy Schreiner read through this script.
Yeah, I always find it really interesting to know the inspiration behind, because a lot of these storylines come from little aspects of creators' real lives, and that's not really something that you would know just from watching it. So I love getting that little behind the scenes.
Yeah, and I feel like it's interesting that so many people remember their first bra, because I don't remember my first bra. I remember my favorite. but I don't remember my first.
Yeah, I like vaguely remember getting like a training bra, but I don't remember. It wasn't like a thing as much for me. So it's definitely interesting to see how those become like core memories for people.
Yeah, because like I don't remember my first bra. I remember my favorite bra of all time, which is probably a story you don't want to get into. I don't know.
We'll save that for another time.
I don't mind it being on the podcast, but like, a lot of people probably don't want to know about it.
Let's be mine. But okay, Sierra. So as a swimmer, you noticed some things that I don't think other people noticed about this episode. Did you want to share those?
Yes. So in the opening swim meet, I noticed how everyone was diving, and it's not the way I dive.
Okay.
So they dive or dove with their arms like all the way back and then swung them around and then jumped in. Honestly, that's a waste of time. Don't do that. You dive by standing on the block with your prominent leg forward and your other leg backwards. And I grab the block with both of my hands. And then when the buzzer goes off, you put your hands in what's called a streamline and then dive in. Way quicker. Way less splash.
So they just weren't very efficient, both in their diving and in their turning.
Yes. The touch turn, I can see that it would be better for filming.
Yeah.
There's less splash. And it's less strenuous.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit slower, so you can probably film it better. But again, it's a little bit slower.
Yeah, so it wouldn't be ideal for if you're trying to win a race.
Yeah. Well, these are younger swimmers, so I do feel like they probably haven't been swimming as long just in life.
Yeah, especially the soccer team boys who aren't.
Oh, yeah, the soccer team boys were horrible, but
were they? I totally did not even process their skill level at all. Were they not fast?
Well, Jason's dive was a belly flop.
Really?
Wheels was good. Wheels beat Caitlin. He was the only one to beat someone.
Yeah, see, I did not even process who won any of the relays or anything like that. I was just okay, now they're swimming. I think I was paying more attention to the crowd than what was going on in the pool.
I feel like most people would have just been okay, yeah, they're swimming.
Yeah, that was me.
Who wins overall? Most people wouldn't even know what this race is called unless they've swum before.
But that's why it's interesting to get your perspective as somebody who has the personal experience of it.
This is something where I'm I wanted the swim team back, MTNG, and we saw them for 10 seconds in the locker room, and that was it. And we see that Shantae is on the swim team. That's it. And honestly, I love Shantae. I have a little crush on her. She is really cool. Yeah.
Shantae got more screen time in general.
She has a memorable quote that I have art of and that I say all the time. I definitely saw it. The emphasis is on community.
Community, yeah. For some of us, the emphasis is on community. I love that.
Yeah.
That is good. Yeah, Shantae got a few good moments, but otherwise she was famously in the background for
so long.
Too many years. So many years.
Yeah, but I stan her. I want more of her.
Me too. I want, yeah. They should have just had her continue into Degrassi next class.
I don't know if I'll go that far.
No, I'm kidding.
Unless she wants to be a teacher, which I'd be okay with.
She's super senior.
Exactly. But we have super seniors with Fiona as well, and Alex,
Dallas, and Imogen, and Drew.
Yeah.
That season 13, 14, they just had everybody held back or stay back.
Exactly. So I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But no, Wheels is the only one. He beats Caitlin. Wheels and Caitlin swim against each other.
So Wheels is the only one that doesn't stop competing.
He's the only boy who beats someone.
And it's funny because Jason is the one that's so convinced that they're gonna be having he sucks.
He swims twice, which
he's the one that swims twice because they were uneven. He takes on that extra.
Yeah, I feel if Shane would have swam, he would have beat somebody. Whoever he swam against, I think he would have beat them.
Yeah, it's very interesting that Shane was just not even a thought.
Never even mentioned he's just standing there next to all the other soccer players and like nodding his head, like, yeah, swimming. Girls suck at swimming, like girls suck at sports. Like, he's just nodding his head. He doesn't say anything really.
He's not really fully a character to me yet either.
No, he definitely becomes one though. Of course, you know that because of him being Emma's dad.
Yeah.
So I had Wheels and Caitlin are both the starters. So that's whoever starts the race in a relay. Yeah, the first swimmer is called the starter. That's self-explanatory. And then like the other two swimmers after the starters don't have names. And then the last swimmer is always called the anchor.
Oh, you just mean like I thought you meant the characters. I was like, yeah, they do.
The characters have names. The technical names for those swimmers don't exist. They're just not a thing. And then the last swimmer is the anchor. And there's like definitely a strategy. You want to have a fast starter, and then your two middles can be like mediocre or kind of slower. And then your anchor, you want it to be able to pull up the rear, which means swim fast.
Who is the anchor for the boys?
Jason is the anchor for the boys, and then Melanie is the anchor.
Melanie beats Jason.
Yeah, so it's Wheels beats Caitlin, Jason swims with LD, and LD beats him, and then Susie beats Wally,
and then Melanie beats Jason.
Melanie beats Jason.
Also, Jason, that character that does not appear again after this episode.
Not to my memory, not really.
As far as I could see online, this is his only episode that he is speaking. I believe it said that there was an episode that he was mentioned in later on, but this is the only. And I know that the actor Tyson Talbot was in Kids of Degrassi Street as well.
Yeah. And you notice how scared Jason is of Melanie. He mentions it multiple times and how happy he is when Melanie's like, oh no, I'm not swimming. Because he's like looking for Snake. And Melanie's like, I haven't seen her.
She does this whole demeanor when he's like, oh, well, Melanie's not swimming. Because he knows that she's a threat.
Like, he completely gives up on finding Snake afterwards. He's just like, if you see Snake, let him know. I'm looking for him. And then that's it. He just runs back to the locker room like, we don't even need Snake. Melanie's not swimming.
Yeah, so clearly he's intimidated by Melanie.
And, like, he has every right to be. Because, like, she smokes them. Which is, like, honestly, it kind of shocked me a little bit. Because, like, the girls, they have their heads up too high when they're swimming. Their strokes are sloppy as heck. They're splashy everywhere.
You were like the swimming Simon Cowell. You're just like, trash. This is not good.
I'm like this in Pretty Little Liars too, to be honest. Which I do have a note about Pretty Little Liars. But because that's like the only other show with swimming because of Emily.
Yeah. And she's a lesbian.
She's also a bad swimmer. And she admits that she didn't know how to swim
Shay Mitchell?
Before her audition. She learned how to swim for Pretty Little Liars.
Shay Mitchell, who was on Degrassi.
In the Mia Jones modeling episodes,
all roads lead back to Degrassi.
And that's actually why I had a note about it.
Yeah, go ahead.
The talk between Snake and Melanie on the steps reminds me of a talk between Toby and Emily on Pretty Little Liars. Because Toby gets bullied because everyone thinks he killed Allison. So Emily's like, well, why did you come back? You know everyone thinks you killed her. And he's like, I came back because I did this for me. It's the same reason why you swim. You do this for you. The whole time, she's not even thinking about swimming. She's thinking about coming out, about Maya. So that makes me feel like maybe that's like, because Emily's bisexual in the books. And she thinks about dating Toby on the show, and she dates Toby in the books.
So you're drawing some parallels between Emily and Melanie?
They remind me of each other.
Okay, yeah, I've only seen a little bit of Pretty Little Liars, so all I kind of know about Emily's character is that she's a lesbian and that she swims and that she gets, like, manipulated by Allison. Like, I've seen the scenes where Allison's, like, being horrible to her and then, like, kissing her. Like, that's all I know is, like, their relationship is really manipulative.
And honestly, if Stephanie K was any kind of gay, I think she'd be an Allison De Laurentiis.
I could see that. Is Allison gay? This is a sidebar.
She's bisexual.
Okay, I didn't know she was actually, because I haven't watched the show and I didn't know she was actually heard Emily get married in the end. I did not know that.
It's my least favorite. Yeah, it's my least favorite I want Emily with Paige so bad. That's my end game. But no, that talk definitely reminds me of Toby and Emily. Because Emily definitely has a moment where she asks Toby to dance. And it's like a moment where it's like, you know, if I was to date any guy, it would be Toby. Like, that's my best friend. He's the best guy I know. But he is a snake in my head. Toby is a snake. Not like the character.
Out of context. Toby's a snake.
Like the character of Degrassi Junior High. Like, he's a sweetheart.
I know it sounds like you're being like he's untrustworthy. Like he's a snake.
No, he's an
Archibald.
He's Archibald Simpson.
He's an Archibald.
He's an Archibald. Yeah, that's a better way to say it. I always forget Snake has a real name.
I know. I always have to. I just have to reiterate though how absolutely obsessed I am with Snake now. Like, if you see, I watched the episode on my computer first, and then I rewatched it on my phone this morning. And the amount of screenshots that I took of Snake, like every time he was on the screen, I was just like, oh my gosh, I love him. Like he's so cute. He's so gender. And that's a little fashion note that I have is I'm obsessed with the way that Snake dresses. It's very queer to me, personally, but maybe that's just how people dressed in the 80s. Like
that's a lot of it where I'm like, I don't know if people dressed in the 80s, but nowadays flannel and the amount of flannel that LD wears, and Melanie wears some flannel too in this episode.
Yeah, and a tie. Like there's definitely some queer.
The tie is so gay to me.
Yeah, I'll say some stuff that is now kind of queer coded. I don't know if back then like women wearing ties or flannels or anything like that was necessarily queer coded, but those things are something that is now so like synonymous with queer culture that it's hard to not make those connections when you see like
that has a lot to do with why I see Melanie and LD as gay.
Yeah,
because like nowadays you look at them and you're like, oh yeah, they're gay. Like they feel like they're holding hands when they're listening to the announcements, and like when you see them run off to go get a bra, Elodie grabs her hand, and like Nancy's walking by and doesn't see it as weird at all. Like she just ignores it. She's just like, oh hey, and walks by. And I'm like, this must happen a lot, because I feel like I would have pointed that out. I've been like, wait, y'all, maybe that's just me. Like maybe I'm just gay. I mean, I'm definitely gay, but maybe. Yeah, maybe I'm just bisexual as fuck.
I mean, same. So,
yeah, like I'm like, y'all are holding hands. Like, what's going on here? And like, Melanie doesn't act like this is weird. Like, she doesn't say drop my hand or like don't do that. We're in public. You know, she's just like whatever.
I will say I don't remember holding hands with my female friends in middle school, and I feel like I would have remembered that because it would have made my brain explode because I would have been holding hands with a girl. So
yeah, I mean, my first crush on a girl was the Powerpuff Girls. Like I was like 7 years old, so I would have been like, oh my gosh, like you're holding my hand, like what?
I feel like that would have been a core memory. I feel like I would remember if me and my friends like casually held hands in middle school. But yeah, I think because we have this queer lens, we're gonna read it like that, and I think it's valid, like to read it from a queer lens, because to me, media is all about like personal interpretation, and
yeah, which I have a strong one for this. Yeah,
what is it? Go ahead. A personal interpretation.
My personal interpretation is Melanie and LD are secretly dating in this exact episode.
You think so?
I think so, and I think Melanie is on the brink of like breaking it off because she knows that LD is crushing on Stephanie, and she knows she likes Snake. So they're on the brink of their breaking point. They're gonna break up in like 2 or 3 episodes. They're definitely still together in the next episode because of how Melanie acts like such a strong, air quotes, ally who's definitely not queer at all.
I'm excited to see next episode because from what I know,
yeah,
I have a good guest for the next episode. If you can,
I'm confident you do.
If you can guess,
yeah, I think I know exactly who the lesbian is.
Perhaps. I mean, you might have a good guess. I wanted to ask if you had any favorite lines from The Great Race.
I have exactly 0. I have 2 least favorite lines.
Okay, so that's a first. Yeah, usually people have favorite lines, but you said nope. I have the opposite of that, and I have 2 of them. Go ahead. What are they?
Okay, so Joey says both of them, to be honest.
Joey says one of my favorite lines, and I'm actually kind of scared that one of my favorite lines might be one of your least favorite now.
Don't remember who's standing next to Joey who says, are cantaloupes in season?
Oh, I hated that line.
Yeah, Joey says more like blueberries.
I hated that line. That was gross.
And that's actually right after Melanie like tries to like she gets out of the bathroom and she's like adjusting her bra and she like adjusts in the front and she's like, Caitlin, Susie, like, you see those? Like she's doing that, like, and they don't notice for a while there. Which is another thing where I'm like, they're definitely not gay. Which is like a weird side note for next episode. I don't feel like Caitlin or Susie notices. I don't feel like anyone except for LD really notices, and only because she
notices that Melanie is wearing a bra.
Yeah,
I did get a vibe. I did get a vibe that Caitlin and Susie kind of like exchanged a look. Like they weren't gonna say anything, but they did. I would have to rewatch and see, but I got the vibe that they did notice and that they were just kind of like, oh, like, interesting. They definitely didn't notice in the way that Stephanie did, where Stephanie was being judgmental as fuck, in my opinion.
Yeah, I feel like Stephanie was judging as heck, and they exchanged a look, but I feel it was more like a, oh, now we caught on. Like, that's why she's moving her chest like that. Like, it took a moment.
Okay, so, yeah. Okay, I would have to rewatch and see, like, when that look takes place.
And I feel like Caitlin looked at Susie. Susie didn't look at Caitlin. Like, Caitlin was one of, like, you notice now? I get it now.
I do want to quickly just talk a little bit more about that moment with Stephanie in the bathroom, because
I didn't even note about that.
What was that look? Like, what? Was it jealousy? Was it, like, what? Because she just, like, stared her down and then gave this, like, very judgmental look. And I'm just like...
I feel like it was more of, like, a, LD, why are you noticing that? And then, like, you know what? Let me comment anyway. So it makes it seem like maybe I might hit on Melanie real quick just to make LD a little. But that's my headcanon.
That's your fan fiction, but I support it.
Fan fiction.
Yeah, I support fan fiction. I support all of the.
But my note was what LD tells Stephanie to say at the swim meet is not what you would say at a swim meet.
What is it?
So she says, swimmers on your mark, which is what you'd say. That's correct. And then get set, go. You don't say get set. You don't say go. She does fire a firing gun, which you would do back in the day, but you wouldn't do now, of course. That changes. Technology changes, and the perception of a blank shotgun would change just because of violence and things like that. People don't use guns now. You just use like a button that goes beep. It goes more like, boop. That noise haunts me.
Oh, I just quickly wanted to say my favorite lines of the episode.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Before we moved on fully. One is from Joey and one is from Melanie, which wait, did you say both of yours?
My other least favorite line is, you're so flat, the walls are jealous. I have
that's one of my favorites. Yeah, that was my favorite Joey line.
I've been told that, so it's like, I don't like it.
It's not nice, but it's a good line.
It's kind of funny when it's not being said to you.
Oh yeah, it's bullying.
I do love LD's reaction though.
Of throwing him in the pool.
Oh yeah. I would have kissed LD if I was Melanie in that moment. I would have been like, yeah, that's my girl.
And then the other favorite line that I had was in the bra store, Melanie saying, "I'm not chicken," sort of like a chicken wing without the legs or breast. I just thought that was really cute.
I think it's like a lot of her perception of her body in that line. Like, obviously, she doesn't like her breast. That's what this whole episode is about.
She just feels like under.
She also doesn't like her legs, apparently. She doesn't think she's got good legs. Which I feel like you have to have good legs to be a swimmer.
Yeah, I think she just doesn't feel mature at all. Like, she feels like a little kid.
Yeah, and honestly, if I were watching this episode back when I was in 11th grade, knowing that Melanie's in the 8th grade, I would have felt so much like camaraderie. Like, this was my body in 11th grade. This was her body in the 8th grade. Melanie, you're gonna be fine, honey. And like she's eating healthy, she's an athlete, and like yeah, you're gonna be fine, Melanie. I was fine. Like by the next year, I was way bigger in a lot of different places. So you're gonna be fine.
Yeah, I definitely think the like impatience with puberty is evident throughout both Melanie's storyline and Yick and Arthur's storylines.
Yeah, and Arthur and Yick are gonna be fine too. They should stop rushing, but also like what works for Snake isn't gonna work for you. Like you're different people, you develop differently. My mom's a nurse, so like I know all this.
Yeah, I thought that plotline was very cute. Very, it's adorable.
I love Arthur and Yick. Their friendship is like honestly, people compare it to Toby and JT all the time. And Arthur and Yick are in a different playing field in my head. They're cuter. Yeah, they're way better. JT and Toby annoy the fuck out of me.
Now let's
like individually and together. I just don't like them. I know you love JT.
I do love JT, but
JT gets better with time. He does. But he's got some annoying moments.
I just have to take a moment to process this.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
You hate JT and Toby?
I don't hate JT.
Daisy. She's a guard dog. You don't hate JT, you just hate fun.
I hate some of his moments. I feel like he can be such a class clown, so annoying. He's very Joey. I don't feel like comparing him to Yick Yu does it justice. They have similarities, but I don't think. Yeah, JT is definitely Yick. Toby is definitely Arthur in my head. I just don't feel like it does it justice. I feel like Yick Yu and Arthur are better, and I wish they would have had their book.
I know, and we have that. We have the book now. Jocelyn and I found it in the Degrassi archives, and it's floating around somewhere in our drive now. We just have to organize all the information. We got so much information that we haven't even like started.
I know it was talked about in Judy's interview, which I was so thankful for.
The Judy Shiner interview was still one of my favorites. There's so much great information given in there. It just made me so much more interested in Degrassi Junior High.
Honestly, yeah, I'm just very thankful for it.
Yeah, I'm very thankful for all of the like information that Jocelyn has been able to get from their interviews. It's invaluable information, honestly. So you brought up a fun little possible Easter egg that I thought was funny. I have no idea. We have no idea if this is actually a thing, but the name of the department store where LD and Melanie go bra shopping is called Towers, which that is a name that comes up later in the series.
I was listening to a podcast called Degrassi AV Club about this episode because that's what I do every time I'm on a podcast about an episode. I just listen to other podcasts about the episode. Yes, I feel like it's important research. And it was mentioned in the little end credits of the thank yous that it was Towers, and I didn't notice even though I watched the episode 4 times this week and then another time with my mom last night and this morning.
So it's just like a detail that is in the end credits. It's just like the credit of where they filmed it. It wasn't even on screen.
It was on screen in the thank yous, and that was it.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah, so I think, who knows? Maybe that's the inspiration behind the character Towers, who was there for like 2 seconds, and then...
I noticed another thing that might be an Easter egg later on, but I don't know for sure if it is or not.
Did you want to talk about it?
Snake, when he's wearing his red sunglasses, has little straps, like a little neck strap connected to his sunglasses. And when he takes them off, you can see it hanging around his neck. Yick Yu gets a glasses strap from Arthur in Season's Greetings as his Christmas present. And I was like, oh, maybe that's a connection, but it might not even be one. I just noticed it as a glasses wearing person.
The way that they are like admiring Snake and looking up to him, I could definitely see. You said Arthur buys it for Yick. I'm sorry.
Arthur buys it for Yick,
Yeah, I can
And
see
like
that.
there's a lot of flashbacks in that episode. So I was like, oh, maybe flashback with this callback in the gift.
I can't wait to see that. See, I obviously haven't seen that episode yet. I had to skip out on it. We recently had a watch party on the Degrassi Kid Discord where we watched some holiday themed episodes and then did a Kahoot that was actually hosted by you. That was really fun. But that was one of the episodes that we watched, or that you guys watched, because I had to join late so that I wouldn't get spoiled.
I feel like if I hadn't watched that episode so recently, I might not have even noticed because obviously I've seen The Great Race like maybe 20 or something times completely. For my first time seeing it in 2018, and I lost count of how many times I've seen it. I don't really know.
Yeah, it's your favorite episode.
I had never noticed it before. And Season Greetings is one of my favorite episodes as well because Christmas, but also Arthur and Yick are key players, and I love them.
I also love them and I love their friendship, and I'm glad we got some more cute moments with them in this episode. They're adorable. They are. Them like them on the little pull-up bars or whatever it is, stretching. It's just
I feel like the pull-up bars come up again at some point, but I can't remember when. I know it's not in JT and Toby's Trying to Be Cool episode. I think it's in Toby's eating disorder episode.
it is. I have that visual of him. Yeah.
I knew that was in my head, but I was like, why? When?
Yeah, I feel like I can picture that so well. There's pull-up imagery at some point.
It landed in my head when I was watching the episode again for like the second or third time this week. And I was like, why am I picturing JT and Toby on the pull-up?
That's how our Degrassi brains work.
Yeah. Because like I can also picture when else they go to the Degrassi grocery. Like that's what I pictured. I was like, oh yeah, Bartholomew Bond and Scooter follow Rick to the grocery. My brain was like, oh yeah, I remember that. Because I remember the line. He's like, he's as cool as a popsicle. And I was like, I have heard of that. I remember that line. So I remember why JT and Toby were stretching on the pull-up bars.
Okay.
So
I don't. So go ahead. I nearly blocked this out.
no, it popped in my head randomly after we were done recording and then re-recording.
Exposing me for the fact that I don't have a Zoom subscription.
No, I'm blaming me for my brain because my brain doesn't like Toby very much, so it blocked this out.
Now let's so what is this moment? I feel like I'll remember it once you say it, but I don't remember the scene.
It connects really well with this episode. So Toby and Sean and JT are all in the same homeroom listening to the morning announcements. And they announced that the Bot Wars team that Toby is on got like third place. And nobody applauded. Toby like tried to get people to clap and no one applauded. And then Sean gets mentioned for his wrestling team and everyone in the classroom claps. So Toby's like, okay, I'll join the wrestling team. Like it goes to how Yick and Arthur are emulating Snape. And Toby wants to go against Sean. And that's like why he's trying to like lose a bunch of weight to get into Sean's weight class so he can wrestle him. So that's why he's working out. That's why he's stretching. That's why he takes the laxatives. It's the whole thing.
So that's very interesting. I feel like I loved how the next generation seems to take these ideas and these plots and take them a step further every time.
Yeah, because like they do the same thing with the who's running for class president, like Ashley. And that has to do with Toby again. And her and Toby are step siblings, and Stephanie and Arthur are siblings. And like it just takes it a bit farther, but you still see the similarities. Like the first season of TNG is like almost a direct copy of the first season of Degrassi Junior High. Like you'll see it in the next one because you know the name of the episode is Rumor Has It. So you know there's rumors. And then there's an episode in TNG called Rumors. You could really watch the two together.
Rumors
like I did with the last. Yeah, and you can see. Oh, is it Reputation? There's an episode called Rumors and Reputations. Okay, I thought it was just Rumors.
No, that's the one with
Liberty and Armstrong.
Liberty and Armstrong.
Yeah, and that's like Emma starts a rumor.
Terry starts a rumor. Because Terry overhears it, I believe, and then tells people.
But Terry says, Emma, you started it. So,
like, no, she didn't. You started it. Like,
yeah. But, like, I feel like Emma was really gossiping about it because Emma was worried because of things that happened to Emma in the pilot.
Yeah, it's so valid.
And they never say that, and they really should. I would have loved that. They don't mention the pilot as much as they should.
They act like that never happened, and it should be, like, a huge part of Emma's character.
It should be, and it should also be a huge part of why Connor shouldn't have been with Love Queen 16. I love that you recently talked about it on the band's episode, because the three tenors is I'll Never Frag You Again. I never noticed the lyrics to that song before. I always got them wrong. Because I thought it was like, you were always on my mind.
Online.
Yeah, I noticed that. And I was like, oh shit.
Well,
like, Connor, you're a little songwriting genius.
A little song strips.
Connor should be in a band. Like, he should be in a bigger band that has more than one song.
Connor should have been a Whisper Hug.
Oh my god. Connor would have been good in Whisper Hug. Him and Imogen would have been such a good, like, power couple in a band. Not together dating, but in a band.
I was about to say,
no, not dating.
You mentioned Degrassi Grocery, which another one of Degrassi Kid's fun facts that they included was that is actually a real store that was used in the Kids of Degrassi Street.
It was used in, I think it's like Sophie Minds the Store. It's an award-winning episode that I saw in IMDb.
Yeah, I've seen up to Null buys a suit on Kids of Degrassi Street currently.
Yes. There's a book called Null Buys a Suit too. I don't have that one yet. I just looked over to see if I did. I don't.
Is there anything else that you feel like we have missed?
I just wanted to mention that Joey's growth in Relax doesn't really happen, because he mentions that he can't sponsor both teams when Liberty asks him to, and then in the end he sponsors both teams.
Yeah. So
the whole episode didn't need to happen.
Well,
and it's just because Joey's sexist, really. In my head, I feel like that's the only reason why he was like, no, I don't want to sponsor both. When he totally could have, because you do in the end.
Joey Jeremiah, misogynist.
Sadly, yeah, even to the very end, apparently.
Adult Joey Jeremiah is...
Yeah, because he even blames Caitlin when Craig runs away. And it's like, no one could have guessed that was going to happen. So I just watched that episode last night.
Adult Joey is a little bit of a flop. But
sadly, yeah, Joey's a flop. And okay, also, Joey, Wheels, and Snake do not interact in this episode. Yet they are Zit Remedy. So they haven't even interacted yet.
I would have no idea that they were friends. At all.
No, I think Wheels and Joey will interact soon, but Snake, I haven't.
Snake seems like a little bit of a loner. He really is. So I'm curious to see him kind of interact with people more, if he does.
Which is why I would love to see the co-ed swim team that Snake's definitely a part of, District Champion.
Well, it's never going to see it. Sorry.
No, I feel like they would have been swimming at the same time. So I feel like he definitely has friends on this swim team, probably. And I can't picture Snake as a swimmer. I don't see it. It's just that he's tall. So he takes up half the pool. Because I've had a tall guy on my team before.
I couldn't just have done that with Shane. Well,
I feel like Shane could have swam. I feel like we should have gotten to see some of Shane in this episode, and we really didn't.
I'm glad we got to see Snake. I'm glad we got to see Snake, though.
Oh, yeah, I love Snake. I feel like they could have gotten both in this episode, but they didn't. But I also love Wally in this episode. I feel like his crunching on the carrot, and he's like, I'll go after the ball after Snake kicks it over the fence.
Oh, yeah, and he's cute. He's got some good comic timing from his little lines that he got. I would enjoy it. I'm a little disappointed that you kind of spoiled that he's not.
4 episodes, yeah.
He's
only in 4 episodes in this whole show, and I want him in more. I feel like he does really good.
Yeah, I enjoyed him in this episode, so that's a little bit disappointing to hear that he's not really relevant.
I think he's still got good lines. He still has really good moments.
And I thought Jason was a very interesting antagonist, honestly.
Yeah, I would have liked to see him more throughout Degrassi.
I would have enjoyed seeing him more. I felt like he brought an interesting like, dynamic. All right, so I feel like I've taken up a lot of your time. I don't think you're complaining, but I feel like we are about ready to wrap up. How do you feel about that, Sierra? You feel like we've had a good discussion?
I feel like I've loved every second I've spent with you, so I have no complaints.
Well,
But yeah, if you want to wrap up, I'm cool with it.
I think we covered some amazing things. We had a really good chat, and
yeah, I feel like we got into my headcanon, my queerness, my pretty little liars. We mentioned Adam in an episode he's not even in somehow.
I managed to talk about Lola, which I always manage to do. So I think we've
always talk about Adam. Always.
Yeah, I think we've pretty much gotten the checklist. I just want to say thank you so much, Sierra, for being on the podcast. You have been such an amazing, like, supportive person. You have supported like every episode that I put out, and I'm so glad that I could have you on to talk about your favorite episode.
And I'm so happy I could support you and talk about my favorite episode as well. I support all my friends. I love everyone.
You've always made me feel self-supported. I really appreciate that.
That's my goal, is just to be a great friend to everybody that I can be. We got everything in my notes other than Joey's sun hat, but that's a dumb little detail that I don't think anyone will even notice, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't think that's dumb, but I do love that Joey has like a very he has a wide range of hats. He's been wearing a different hat, like he's worn a fedora, he wore a beret last episode, now he's got a sun hat. Like, I want to see his hat collection. I want to see,
or you will see his hat rack in Degrassi High. I made art kind of about a line that he says next to his hat rack.
I wish the listeners could have seen just the pure joy on my face just now when you said that. Why am I so excited to see a child's hat rack? Like, why do I care?
He's got a rack full of hats right next to his front door that I am obsessed with. But yeah, his sun hat in this episode, Snake wears it to extracurricular activities and in School's Out. He wears a sun hat in both those episodes, and it's the same exact one. I triple checked.
That's just a wardrobe. They just happened to put it on the same.
Yeah, I think it's just a thing that they have lying around. Judy Schreiner can tell us about.
Yeah, Judy.
Because you met her, and I've made art that I want to send to her. So bad.
Yeah, I met her twice, and she's so nice. So I would love to have her on the podcast at some point to just ask about all these little details. I'm just gonna like start collecting all of these little questions for her. Just be like, okay, so in this episode, this little sun hat and this little like tiny detail, and just
yeah, because I know my question was like, in this episode, there's a fake book, and like, how did
that
this
was a good
happen?
question. Yeah, that was a good question.
I Googled, because I did the book club rewatch where I like took notes of every single book that was on the show, and I'm like, these books aren't real books.
Yeah.
How is that a thing? How do you have a book that's not real like that? I need to know.
Now you know. That was so interesting to find that out.
And I made art of that book too.
Everything you're like, and I made art of it.
Yeah. I have like over 200 Degrassi designs. It's wild.
I love that for you. Clearly, Degrassi has really impacted your life and inspired you in a lot of different ways.
I mean, I even have art about the Degrassi minis. I have 2 Degrassi mini designs so far, and I'm going to be making more.
You got to make some art about that one, J. Hogarth.
I already did.
Oh, you did? Good.
The Diary of Joe Hogarth.
I'm not a little girl anymore. That's my favorite.
It's like, you think you know. You think you have no idea.
That was my favorite one.
I know. I have trouble picking favorites of anything, but like that one, I knew the opening. I remembered it, and I was like, it's been so long since I've seen these. My mom's just like, what are you doing? She's like getting ready for work, and she's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, you think you know? You think you know?
I have no idea.
I love Jay Hogarth. Like, I shouldn't, because he's kind of a pig a lot of the time, but he's so good.
It has everything to do with Mike Lavelle, honestly. He's so charming.
He's so gender.
He's so gender. I've had a really good time talking with you, Sierra. I think we have pretty much covered everything within the Great Race. I think we could keep chatting about Degrassi forever.
I think I could chat with you for like the rest of my life. Like you could be my roommate and we could just talk for hours.
I love that. Yeah, the conversation has flowed very easily. So I love that. Yeah, I really appreciate you coming on the podcast. And I wanted to give you a space to promote some of the things that you do because you are a Degrassi fan. You are a Degrassi fan artist. And yeah, do you want to talk about some of the things that you do?
I make Degrassi fan art as well as other pretty amazing art, I would say myself personally. I have 3 designs about this episode. Just a fun fact there.
I did not know that. I will have to look and see which ones they are now that I've watched the episode.
Yeah, they're in my Degrassi Classic folder on Redbubble. So,
what is your Redbubble shop?
It's Sierra Lucey 05.
Okay, I'll link that in the description below.
Yeah, that's the same as my Instagram and the same as my Etsy.
Brand consistency makes it easy.
It makes it easy for like business cards and stuff.
Absolutely. So Sierra Lucey 05, you post Degrassi Junior High, well, just Degrassi in general, fan art. And you also post art related to other things that you love and care about. You like 19 Kids and Counting. You like, is it 19 kids now? How many kids is it?
I wouldn't say I would say I make snarky art about the Duggars, which is
like is maybe. So, okay, sorry, you don't like 19 Kids Accounting, but you make art about 19 Kids Accounting.
I do make snarky Duggar art.
I love that.
That's the way I can describe it. I did an interview about that earlier this year.
Is there anything else that you wanted to promote before we say goodbye? Or anything that you want to say?
I don't know when the book club's going to be started, so
there's a book club coming at some point to be excited about that Sierra will be involved with, we'll say.
Yeah, you can say that I will be a club leader for the Discord soon or something like that. Because I know you're going to plug the Discord.
Yeah, you're saying it. I'm giving you, I'll put the words in your mouth. There's an exciting new club coming on the Degrassi Kid Discord very soon. If you don't know, the Degrassi Kid Discord has some amazing after-school clubs, which are extra channels that you can get access to as a Patreon member. And they are just little like specialized clubs where we talk about our different interests. There's a lot of really cute ones. There's a music club, there's a beauty club, which I am the leader of. There's a club where we talk about TV and movies. There's a club where we talk about nerdy stuff. And very soon, Sierra, you are teasing that there will be a book club.
There will be a book club called Bruce Mackey's Library.
I think that's the cutest thing ever.
Well, we all know that Bruce Mackey is Degrassi's queer, he says it twice, librarian and grandfather.
So what a wonderful way to honor him. I think that's adorable.
He's my hero, and I actually have an art collection about books on my Redbubble, and all the proceeds from that collection go towards me growing my Degrassi library and the book club and different aspects of how that will be growing soon.
Yeah, so if you want to help Sierra make that dream a reality and make some content about Degrassi books, then check it out. Check that art out.
Right now, we're looking towards making the books as available as possible for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're expensive and they're rare and they need to be reprinted soon. I'll just shout that from the rooftop.
Linda, reprint the books. Get on it.
Yeah. Linda, help me out here.
Okay. I had a great time chatting with you, Sierra. I really appreciate you coming on the podcast to talk about Degrassi Junior High.
I appreciate you taking as much time of mine as you want because I love you.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to chat with you. I had a really good time. Thank you so much for coming on Degrassi Schools in, Sierra. I really appreciate your time, and I'm really looking forward to hopefully talking to you again someday.
Well, thank you for having me, and I'd love to be on anytime you need like a gay opinion.
Gay. I mean, I've already got some gay opinions, but like we could always use an extra.
An extra gay never gets in the way. That's a catchphrase.
That's art worthy.
Oh, I will. It came right out of my head. I just thought of it on the spot.
Thank you guys so much for listening to Degrassi Schools In. I really appreciate everyone's feedback and everything. If you haven't already, I would love if you rated me 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever platform you're listening on. It really makes a difference and it only takes a couple seconds. I will catch you guys next month for Rumor Has It with a very special guest. Sierra already kind of guessed who it is, and I think you guys might be able to guess who I'm talking to. Hint, lesbian. Okay, I will see you guys next month. Thank you so much for listening to Degrassi Schools In. I am so thankful to all of you, and bye, Panthers.
Bye, Panthers. Make sure you touch the wall when you're swimming. That's how they know you're done.
Make sure you touch the wall. Bye, Panthers.